rolling back segregation. What are we going to do?
Not one goddamn thing. Not one goddamn thing. I speak for myself, just my personal opinion, but I done speaking about this and I spoke to leaders, and everybody I speak to say it's probably going to be the best thing that ever can happen to black people. A mandate for us to unite without consumption power. We got the greatest consumption power in the world, and you going to mandate us to unite? Yeah, ever since we integrated, our economic state has been worse. Our families have been torn apart. And when we made a decision to chose that, we got what we got now. And everybody that I see, that's why you don't hear no outcry from black people about this new executive order about segregation. I don't think we give a damn about it. I know I certainly don't. I ain't for it. I ain't pushing for it, but I ain't to get it. Correct me, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments.
One of the biggest things that I've realized that nobody's talking about when it comes to segregation is that we don't mind it. It's white people that got the problem. Because when y'all realize that we literally don't need y'all get mad. We've created thousands of thriving black cities and countries. Because we can do it without y'all just don't get it. Y'all need to be all up in our space and all up in our mix. For what reason? Because when I've gone to primarily white spaces, I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed. But y'all can't say the same for us. Like, there's been over 100 massacres on black cities and towns simply because y'all are outraged that we can thrive, that we can come together, and that we can do things no matter what the circumstances are. Because last time I checked, it's white people that mainly benefit from government assistance. But y'all love to say it's us, don't y'all? But instead, we can take the bare minimum and create enormous things. Can you not do the same? I guess not, without the government's help.
White people, how do you feel about the segregation ban? I already know how people of color feel in other minorities, but what about y'all? How do you feel about this? Like, are you happy? I know that's kind of like a setup, huh? Because if you're all like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, we found him. But no, I'm like curious, like, because I mean, it doesn't really affect y'all unless you have like a partner or something like that, or kids who are obviously people of color. Other than that, just straight up white people, no relations to any people of color. How do you feel about this? Are you just like, damn, that's crazy? I mean, are you shocked? Like, I'm laughing because me and my people, we've already been through shit. So it's like, at the end of the day, I have faith that we will be okay. I guess for the Karens and the Kevins out there, it's like good. That way you don't have to be mad at any black person or other person of color coming in your territory and questioning them. You get to just chill and deal with your own people.
Yeah, I'm with this segregation shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. Look, I love everybody. People are people, right? But at the end of the day, this segregation is gonna help us as black people more than anything. And here's why. It's gonna teach us to love each other again. There's too much hate in the black community right now, man. We don't trust each other. We don't love each other. We damn near don't want to be around each other. You know what I'm saying? So segregation, to see just our people, to see our people helping each other, to see our people believing in each other, to see our people look like I'm looking forward to it. It's about time. It's about time. I'm with it. I am with it. Let's segregate all the way.
Since Donald Trump took office, there's been renewed talks in the United States about segregation, openly, casually, and almost experimentally. If you remember some days back, there was those delusional white folks who thought they were going to form a white-only community up in the Ozarks in Arkansas. And the expectation was clear that they expected that black people would panic upon hearing segregation. Then there would be fear, there would be resistance, begging to belong from black people. But that's not what happened. Instead, black people said something that completely disrupted the plan. Black people came out to say loud and clear, we are not afraid. In fact, black people said, bring it on. We are ready. And you see, that response alone may have killed segregation before it even starts. So I have some videos that I've prepared for you. Let's watch these videos and I'll be back with a good analysis to why I think segregation is dead on arrival. Well, it's not going to take effect this time because their plan has failed. Stay tuned and you will know why this is it.
And people want us to be mad so bad.
I don't know, segregation being bad don't sound too bad to me. You mean to tell me I don't have to guess if my mac and cheese got raisins in it or not? You mean to tell me when I walk into a bathroom, it's going to be clean with R&B playing? You mean to tell me I get to pick the best restaurants to go to? I don't have to guess. Bro, we're about to be living like the kings and queens that we are. And I feel like this is going to backfire real bad. Because realistically, we make everything. Nobody's going to want to go to the other side. Even the people that aren't on that side, but are, you know, the ones with common sense, they're gonna be so mad. Gonna be on one side with the boring cookout, and then looking at the other side with our cookout. And they're gonna be looking like, why did y'all do this? Me personally, I feel like segregation being back is just grounds for we're about to take over everything. You know what? I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I really can't, because that sounds lit.
I keep seeing a whole bunch of people that don't look like me making videos saying that we need to do something, we need to march. No, we do not. We don't need to do nothing. The same way Target played and we took away that dollar, we'll just take away our dollar from everybody else who wants to play in our faces and play with us. Go ahead and put them signs up. We don't care nothing about that segregation. Put them signs up so we can take away our dollar. And you can learn just like Target learned. We do not care. We are resting for the next 4 years. We're resting, honey. We don't care nothing about what y'all do. We don't care.
They're bringing back segregation because they know a world without Black and brown people is coming, and it terrifies them. Trump just rolled back protections that ban segregated facilities for federal contractors, and the internet's acting shocked. But me, I'm not surprised, clearly. This is what desperate power looks like. This isn't about restoring order or merit-based hires. This is a tantrum from an almost 80-year-old man. White supremacy is in its flop era, and it's grasping at any old trick it can find. Segregation? Really? I feel like that's how we know they're scared. Because let's be real, Black folks, we are unbothered. You can't shake people that have been surviving state-sanctioned violence since the dawn of time. We've had underfunded schools, medical negligence, and cultural erasure since day one. We don't panic when the system turns on us. We expect it. We don't fold. We multiply. We turn every block into a blueprint, every struggle into a strategy, and every threat into a legacy. As I said in my pinned video, a world without Black and brown people is coming. Not because we're disappearing, because we're divesting. From their politics, from their corporations, their watered down narratives, their respectability games, we want no parts. We've seen what happens when we show up and we make America run. But this time we're choosing to build our own instead. And that's what scares them. Not the loss of power, but the loss of relevance. Because without our culture, our labor, our innovation, our souls, what is America really? Let them scramble. Let them cling to segregation like it's going to save them. We've already moved on. And when that world without us fully arrives, they're going to finally understand what unbothered really looks like.
Racist people don't really want segregation. Segregation is drawing a line in the sand where Black people live on this side and white people live on that side. They don't want segregation. They want selective segregation, servitude, and unfair treatment. Segregation is what happened to Black Wall Street. See, that's what they don't want. Here's the big difference. Racists want you to live where they put you, and they want you to work towards the advancement of their society over here. So we want you to live here, but work in the coal mines, in the fields, and work in the construction and the hard labor. And then when you get done, leave over where we are and go stay where we told you to stay. And also we want unfair treatment. Look up to us as we look down on you. But the second we start having our own banks, having our own doctors, having our own farms, letting the money that we create inside our community continue to circulate inside our community and build our own community up, that's an issue. That's why Black Wall Street gets burned down, because what we're doing over here doesn't benefit what they're doing over here. Like, I gotta build my own thing up? No, we want people low enough on the totem pole financially and educational wise that we can use them to be the burden bearers of our society. That extends past color.
Okay, so I have seen some really, really great think pieces and narratives and jokes about this whole segregation thing. But I want to I want to be able to let you know that the whole segregation thing has nothing to do with black people and has everything to do with white people. Follow me, okay? So it reminds me of Toni Morrison, who is my favorite author. She is a black author, but she is my favorite author, period. And she was being interviewed by a white woman. And essentially the white woman asked, like, when are you going to elevate your writing and include the white perspective in it? Like, or the right, or the white gaze in it, as she would say. And Toni Morrison replied that I'm not. Because Toni Morrison believed that her books could be read by everybody, but she wrote her books for black people. And if you're not a part of black culture, there are certain things within our culture that mandates explanation so that those that are not a part of our culture can understand it. Toni Morrison took that out of her writing. So she said, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, then you don't. But I'm only writing through the black lens for the black experience and the black gaze. That is it. And so when the lady asked that question, Toni Morrison said, I'm never going to do that. And the reality is that black people live very, very full lives and white people aren't even a thought. Like, black people tend to live their lives in a way where we do not think about what white people are doing. And that is very true. It is very factual. A lot of black people only interact with white people because they go to work with them. Right? So if they do not work with white people and you're black, how many times are you socializing with white people outside of work? For a lot of black people, you don't really socialize a lot of times at work, after work, with white people. And so when you have that reality, then it begs for you to be able to go down a line of questioning, right? Which is, what is the issue with segregation? And I've seen some white people on here that was like, white people should be saying that segregation is bad. And the reality is that no, that's not really the problem, right? Because the problem is that we were separate and not equal. That's the problem. It was the maltreatment. Because the reality is that we are no longer segregated. But yet we are still mistreated. We still are not offered the same amount of opportunities. We are still not paid the same rate. We are still not afforded the equality of it. So what white people did was, okay, fine. We will desegregate. It's fine. But once black people entered these spaces, we were still being mistreated. And so the question could actually be, if we had equality, right? If we had equal access to buying land, equal access to be able to garner wealth, equal pay, and we were never desegregated, would desegregation actually be necessary? And there is when you take a look at what was happening with the Tulsa riot, is the fact that black people were equal and separate. Right? They had land, they had businesses, they were accruing wealth. It was the wealthiest black community. And white people who were not a part of the community, very much separate, and yet we are equal, right? They have banks, they have people that build, they have people that, grocery stores, they have houses, they have neighborhoods, they have milkmen, they have mailmen. White people have their own neighborhoods, white people have their own businesses, white people have their own groceries, white people have their own things, separate but very much equal. And white people looked over and said, what are they doing over there? And bombed it. Right? Because otherwise, if black people continue on prospering on their own, why would any black person say, I need to be over there? There's an argument for that. And so then when you look further, taking a look at desegregation, right? Whose lives improved due to closer proximity of white and black people? White people. Their lives improved. Their logic improved. All of a sudden, they begin to be enlightened on the reality of the fact that they themselves were lied to. Otherwise, had they not come into proximity with Black people, there is no reason for them to believe that their ancestors ever did anything wrong. Or there's also no reason to believe that they are more like Black people than what they were told. Because many, many years ago, the Republican Party, right, they said that the way that you are able to steal from poor white people is to convince them that they're better than Black people. And if you can convince them of that, you can steal money from out of their pockets and they would never notice. So here we are, where we are no longer desegregated. And you see all over this app where you have white people that are learning a lot about historical truths that Black people already knew. We already knew these things. But you have white people on a daily that are like, I didn't know that. That's not what I was taught. I wasn't taught that, right? You have whole religious sects of people that were literally taught that the Civil War was not about slavery. You literally have all of these white people that had no clue that Juneteenth existed, or why it existed, or how many years it actually took post-emancipation for the last slave to actually be freed. Proximity has caused for a lot of the misinformation fed to white people to perpetuate racism, to be dismantled. And so you literally have people that are white nationalists. I need you to follow. You literally have people that are white nationalists that are now running the Republican Party, right? In order for them to bring white people back into subjugation, we have to separate them from minorities, because they are learning truths that causes it to be extremely difficult for us to tell them that Black people are subservient. Because proximity means that you are able to identify where we overlap. Now they're understanding the humanity of minorities. And now they're not going to go along with the Aryan beliefs that white people are the elite race and they are better than another ethnic group and they deserve to have things by virtue of them being white. Do you see how segregation has nothing to do with Black people and has everything to do with getting white people back in line? Are you understanding what's going on here? Because it's never for the sake of Black people, which is why Black people is like, we cool. Segregate, separate, illuminate, elucidate, do whatever you got to do. And that is a very true reality. Because we have only known desegregation. But we have also only known that when we're in your proximity, we are still killed. We are still murdered. We are still mistreated. We are still shunned. We do not have the same access, even though we are in closer proximity. So if our lives have not changed by becoming in closer proximity, why would we continue to be close? Okay, separate us. But you have white people that are like, no, segregation is wrong. Why? Because your life has changed because of proximity. Are you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you get this now?
All right. So first and foremost, segregation was meant to intimidate. Even the talks alone, not to liberate. Segregation is meant to threaten. And let's be honest about what this moment really is. This reason segregation was, these talks about segregation was never about logistics, safety, or even governance. It was psychological, more of a psychological game. Segregation has always been used as a threat, as a warning, a leash. And the assumption is always simple and clear for them. Black people would need proximity to whiteness to survive. Take that away, then, fear will do the rest. But this time, something unexpected happened to them. to the proponents of this segregation, idea altogether, that fear didn't come. In fact, excitement did come, along with these talks of segregation. So instead of fear, we saw curiosity, or they saw people being curious. Instead of panic, people grew more confidence, Black people. Instead of pleading, we saw statements like, this might be our chance to finally be free. And those were Black people that were saying so. And this reaction alone flipped the power dynamic. They didn't expect that this would be the reaction of Black people, upon hearing segregation. That's what I'm saying. The reaction alone from Black people really flipped, the power dynamic, because segregation only works when one side believes that they need the other more than the other needs them. And that belief no longer exists. Well, not in America, not in the case of Black versus white in America. So it leads me to, my third point, that Black America is no longer in survival mode. And if you're not ignorant enough, you ought to understand this. And this is the part that many people are probably refusing to accept. Black people today are not the Black people of the 1950s, going backward. This is now a community with skills, institutions, cultural dominance, economic leverage, global influence, and most importantly, self-awareness. And when people are self-aware, they know they know what they're worth, they know themselves well. Then those are people that you cannot brainwash, you cannot influence easily. There is a growing realization that actually proximity to a system that exploits you is not freedom. And once that realization sets in to all of the Black people in America and even globally, then threats like segregation, definitely lose their power. Now, segregation will likely be retracted. They'll just recoil and silently disappear. And here's my personal take on it, and this is why I said it would be dead on arrival. I don't believe segregation will actually happen. Not because America has suddenly grown conscious and realized how much they need, to be a good people, but because the wrong people panicked. Not those that they intended, they would panic upon the threats. When the proponents of segregation realized that Black people were not afraid, Black people were not even resisting, that Black people are not begging, they also realized something else that's important, that they would lose, and lose big time. Because America depends on Black labor, Black innovation, Black culture, Black spending power, Black resilience. You cannot remove all that without collapsing the entire system. And these people, they're wise, and they're exploitative. So they know that when you remove Black people from that equation, the whole system cannot stand. So Black people are not expendable, not today in America anymore. And let's be clear, Black people are not an accessory to America. They are a foundational component to America. From healthcare to entertainment, from logistics to education, from sports to technology, everywhere. Black people are everywhere today in the entire system of America. So the idea that you can isolate, marginalize, discard that contribution without consequences I find it a bit very delusional, and they know it. So if America ever truly tried it, the damage wouldn't be symbolic. It would be economic, cultural, and structural. And perhaps it would even be irreversible, That would be the end of it, the end of America as we know today. So the irony, segregation could also unite Black people further. And yeah, this is the ultimate irony. If segregation might look like a divisive thing in itself, but if segregation were ever forced, it might accidentally achieve the exact opposite of its intention. And instead of weakening black people, it could accelerate, unity of black people, self-sufficiency, institution building amongst black people, political clarity for black people, economic independence of black people. So in other words, it might, finally push black people towards what they have always been denied, the freedom to fully define themselves. So no, segregation isn't scary to black people anymore. We can all agree on that. What's scary is a system realizing it no longer controls the narrative like it always thought it does, or the people it once depended, to sell fear to survive, no longer buy the fear. And that's why this talk, according to me, will likely fade away quietly. This segregation talk, they will just be silent about it until, it's forgotten. Not because it was wrong, the talk in itself, but because it failed to scare the people it was meant to scare, or the people it was meant to cage. Yep, so that's my take on this. I don't know what you think about it. Do share with me your take, and I'll really appreciate in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share this video if you like it, and please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.